Okay, it looks like we're live. Good afternoon, everybody. This is the local Revenues Subcommittee meeting on February 27th. We are going to be discussing one bill today. It's House Bill 243, Property Tax Sale Revisions. You should have received the reprint in your email yesterday that I sent. Bear with me. I'm going to give a brief overview of what the bill does. We do have amendments that we are going to address as well. So the bill reforms the tax sale process by requiring that certain properties be withheld from tax sale, limiting the rate of interest charged to property owners to redeem property sold at tax sale, increasing the period of time after a tax sale before foreclosure can begin for owner-occupied property, requiring the tax sale ombudsman to be notified when foreclosure begins for an owner-occupied property, authorizing counties and municipalities to use an expedited process to foreclose on vacant and abandoned properties, and restricting the sale of property to enforce a lien for unpaid charges for water and sewer service. So it's a big bill. There's a lot that's in it. There we go. But we're going to discuss the amendments first, and then we'll discuss the bill. So we have several amendments that were sent as well, and you'll see these in the reprints. The amendments remove the requirement to withhold non-owner occupied property from sale when the taxes are less than $250, remove the cap on redemption interest for non-owner occupied property, change the cap on redemption interest for owner occupied property from 6 to 10%, delete a requirement that local governments offer installment payment plans to redeem owner-occupied property sold at tax sale, and change the restriction on the sale of property for unpaid charges for water and sewer service to apply to owner-occupied property rather than any residential property. Are there any questions on the amendments? We'll take the amendments first. And is there a motion? I see Delegate Wu.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Can you, before you begin, if anyone is a non-member, please mute yourself and turn off your camera. Yes, Delegate Wu.
So we just got people in our office this morning about this bill, right? HB 243, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I definitely see argument from both sides, the concern about the issue we're facing. I personally feel that threshold is so low. It's really put a lot of people's property in jeopardy. And is there anywhere we can raise that threshold, $350?
So you're specifically referring to the $250?
Yeah.
Okay, so what can you explain your question again? I'm not sure.
I think my question is, I'm concerned we just sell other people's property if they didn't pay the water bill, right? And 250 is really low threshold. It may be just 1 month of utilities or 2 months.
So I can tell you that the reason why it's like that is there's no need. First, the concern is not the non-owner occupied property. We want to protect those owner occupied properties that residents are living in. But current law already gives local governments the option to withhold any property the taxes are less than $250. That's already current law. And if you have anything to add?
May I just add something, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
So the amended bill retains the provision in the bill that requires withholding of owner-occupied property when the taxes are less than $1,000.
So that means there's a difference between the tax $1,000, but this water utility $250, right?
No, so actually that is a not unusual thing about the tax property article. The term tax includes any charge that's a lien on the property, including water. So that includes water.
Oh.
When we talk about tax, it includes water charges.
Okay. So that means maybe if they forget to pay 2 months of water bill and or half a year water bill, plus they miss some tax, that means that the county government may sell their property, right? Is my understanding correct? Because I'm reading the legal defense fund from NAACP, they try to understand they're against the amendment. So trying to understand what's happening here.
So for owner-occupied properties, there's $1,000 threshold before it can be sold, and that's for any charges, including taxes and water liens.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also under the amended bill, there's the provision about withholding of as amended, it would be owner-occupied properties would be withheld from sale when the lien is only for water and sewer charges, and that there's no threshold on that. So for under the bill as amended, for owner-occupied properties, they would have to be withheld from sale if the only charge outstanding against the property is for water and sewer.
Oh, then there's no need for a limit there. Just withhold, not selling them. Okay, I see. Thank you.
Okay, is there Delegate Long?
Yeah, I have a lot of concerns about the way this is even amended. You're talking about $1,000 threshold. It's not very much money. Given, there could be possibly violations for trash or whatever, it could add up. And with the fees and everything, it could become a lot of money. The other thing is too, from what I understand, non-owner occupied would be up for sale for tax sale for what, $350? Am I correct?
So for
Water and sewer?
So for non-owner occupied properties, if the lien was only for water and sewer, the threshold is $350. And that's current law in Baltimore City. And then this would take that statewide. And for non-owner occupied properties, under the bill as amended, nothing would change. The counties still have the discretion to withhold if the lien is under $250 for non-owner occupied properties under the bill.
Right, and also you mentioned something about changing the interest rate from, what was it, 6 to 8% or something?
So
Am I correct?
that's
Or no,
is your
not?
question on the amendment or on the bill itself? Because
guess-
the bill itself changes it, and the bill itself puts a cap on it currently. We're just raising that cap that's currently in the bill. So what I mentioned, 6 to 10%, was the bill actually as drafted caps it at 6%.
Okay,
And the amendment then caps it at 10%. And that's again for non-owner occupied properties.
right. I have a lot of concerns.
Owner occupied.
Owner occupied, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
non-owner occupied. I have a lot of concerns with that, considering the water and sewer in Baltimore City can run up to $300 a month. I've seen $300-400. You have tenants not paying attention to what's a water leak or whatever. Next thing you know, the property's being sold for tax sale. Plus, they're going to be hit for 10%. I understand that the city needs to make money, but I think this is not the right way to go about it. And I am concerned about homeowners. If it's any other thing other than, let's say, if it's tax sale for $1,000, they can lose the house. Am I correct? If it's for taxes?
Non-homeowner occupied properties, yes.
Okay, I have some concerns with that. I'll be honest with you. I just, I don't want to see no one lose their house. And, I've been in the real estate market for 30 some years, and I've seen a lot of weird things happen with
Okay, so
bills.
you have concerns with the amendments or the bill?
Because
Well, go ahead.
I just want to mention Delegate Long. So the amendments under the bill is introduced for owner occupied properties, the threshold is 1,000. They would have to withhold if the taxes and charges are under 1,000. So that's under the bill is introduced. The amendments don't change that. Under the current law, the threshold is lower. It's optional for counties to withhold for amounts of taxes less than $1,000. They have the option to withhold. But so the bill as it's before you strengthens the protections for owner occupied properties, and the amendments don't change that.
Okay. I'm still, like I said, I still have some concerns about the bill, but.
About the bill, but we're on the amendments now.
Okay, well,
Okay, are there any other questions or concerns about the amendments? So Delegate American North, I think you had your hand raised first. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
I think I would know after all these years. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to clarify how the amendments are shaping the universe that folks are talking about. From my understanding, the original bill was capturing owner occupied property, non-owner occupied vacant. But from my understanding that the amendments were only talking about owner occupied property. Is that my understanding of the universe that we're changing this to?
The amendments that I mentioned, yes, we're talking about non-owner occupied properties. Before it was all properties.
When you say non-owner or owner, that's what I'm trying to understand.
Owner
Like,
occupied, we're amending it to owner occupied properties.
okay, so the universe now is written to focus on owner and occupied properties as opposed to the original bill, which was more expansive. Okay,
For
thank
some
you.
of the amendments, yes.
For some, but I'm talking about the amendments, like what the amendments are doing. We're only focusing on,
So the Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendment that I mentioned, they don't talk, it's not specific to one or the other, like deleting the requirement that local governments offer the installment payment plans, that's for all. But the amendments that are specifically addressing the other ones that I mentioned, they are specifically limiting it to owner occupied. So yes, you're correct.
okay, and you said with the exception of the payment plan amendment, and what was the other amendment that applies to?
So let me look through them again. We have the payment plan,
Uh-huh,
the, let me see. I think that was it. There's one, two, yeah, that was
Okay.
it. Yep.
okay. And thank you, Madam Chair, for
And I think-
also answering my questions offline, but just to clarify for the record, why are we removing the payment plan as an amendment?
Thanks for asking that for the record. So we actually just passed a bill, it should be on second reader tomorrow, that does this, so it's redundant. We have a bill that does, House Bill 54. It's
Okay.
Madam Chair's bill, Madam Chair Atterbury's bill.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Stan, did you want to add something? Or,
No, that was it.
okay, and Delegate Grossman.
Madam Chair, I just have a quick clarifying question, maybe for Stan or someone, because we're talking about owner occupied units, but I'm just curious if someone can give me a little background on the impact on renters, right? So I am a renter, I am paying my rent, my water bill is included in my rent, the owner of my property is not paying that. Is there any protection within this for them? Or no? And I just am looking for just a little more understanding there.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Madam
No,
Chair.
Stan, go ahead.
Yeah, so there would be a requirement that the lien has to be at least 350 if it's just for water, and that's for any property, and that would go statewide under the bill with the amendments. But that's it.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, any further questions on the amendments? Okay, is there a motion on the amendments? Delegate Wu.
Yeah, so I saw some email talk about the Baltimore City
What is it?
delegation has not voted on this bill. Do they have a
Oh,
position on
false.
this?
This is a statewide bill.
Okay,
So, yeah,
thank you.
sure. Okay, do we have a motion on the amendments, not the bill? We're not up to the bill yet.
Move favorable.
Is there a second? I
Second.
think, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Any opposed to the amendment? Delegate Long, I didn't see you raise your hand. Are you in support of the amendment or opposed? The amendment. You're on mute. You're on mute, Delegate Long. You could just raise your hand. Okay. Are you into, okay. So that was unanimous on the amendment. Okay, now on the bill as amended, do we have a motion on the bill as amended?
Move favorable.
Second,
Okay, are there any questions on the bill as amended? All in favor of the bill as amended signify by saying aye.
Heck was that?
All, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
So what was that?
A lot of eyes, I guess.
Is there any opposed? Okay, so Delegate Long, you're opposed to the bill as amended. Everyone else was an aye. So the bill, House Bill 243 passes as amended. Thank you all. I appreciate you. I know this was a big bill. Thank you all. I will see everyone at 1 o'clock at